What if I told you that something you take every single day, believing it's keeping you strong, youthful, and full of energy, could actually be silently damaging one of the most vital parts of your manhood? What if some of the most popular over-the-counter supplements, the ones crowding your medicine cabinet right now, were quietly wrecking your prostate and nobody told you? Why do so many men experience low energy, poor sleep, or frequent bathroom visits at night, and blame age, when the real problem might be a tiny capsule they pop without a second thought? In the next few minutes, you're going to discover the shocking truth about 8 commonly used supplements that might be doing more harm than good, especially to your prostate health. You'll see how something that promises vitality could be silently stealing it. And more importantly, you'll find out what to do instead. So before you take your next pill, let's talk. And hey, if you care about your health, especially as you age, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now, because the more you know, the better you live. Let's start by asking the question no one seems to be asking. Why are prostate issues so common today? Why does it feel like turning 50 flips some invisible switch that leads to poor sleep, weaker streams, and that constant feeling of never fully emptying your bladder? And why do men just accept it as normal? The answer is far more frustrating than you'd expect. We've been sold a story that certain supplements will keep us young, support testosterone, help us perform, stay sharp, keep our muscles strong, and our bathroom visits infrequent. But many of these same supplements actually disrupt our hormones, irritate the prostate, and can even increase the risk of long-term problems like benign prostatic hyperplasia. Or worse. That's not just frustrating, that's terrifying. And here's the kicker. Most of these supplements are legal, widely available, and even marketed as men's health essentials. But your body isn't confused. It knows what helps, and it definitely knows what hurts. Let's look at one of the most popular offenders. Synthetic vitamin E. Sounds harmless, right? It's been pushed as a powerful antioxidant for decades. And yes, vitamin E in its natural form, especially when found in foods like almonds, sunflower seeds, or spinach, plays an important role in protecting cells. But here's where things go sideways. Most supplements use a synthetic version of vitamin E called DL-alpha tocopherol. What they don't tell you is that this version can interfere with the absorption of other forms of vitamin E your body actually needs. And when taken in excess, especially in isolation, it doesn't just fail to help, it may increase your risk of prostate problems. In fact, one major clinical trial showed that men who took high doses of synthetic vitamin E had a significantly increased risk of developing prostate cancer. That's not just a minor side effect. That's a complete betrayal of what that supplement promised. So why do companies still sell it? Because it's cheap to produce, because the label looks impressive, and because most people won't take the time to dig into the difference between synthetic and natural forms of a vitamin. But now you know. So the next time you see a flashy label promising high-potency vitamin E, take a second look and always ask, what form is this? What am I actually putting in my body? But synthetic vitamin E isn't the only supplement hiding in plain sight. Let's talk about calcium. That's right, calcium, the mineral that's supposed to be essential for strong bones. And it is when it's part of a balanced diet. But when taken in large doses, especially without the right cofactors like vitamin K2 and magnesium, calcium supplements can lead to more harm than good. Here's why that matters for your prostate. Excess calcium in the bloodstream can contribute to calcification, not just in your arteries, but potentially in your prostate as well. And a calcified prostate is not a happy prostate. It becomes stiffer, more inflamed, and more prone to obstruction. That means more trips to the bathroom, more discomfort, more frustration. And what's even worse is that some of the men who take calcium do it because they're worried about bone health. Yet the very supplement they believe is helping them could be making other parts of their body worse, especially if they're not also getting enough magnesium, which balances calcium in the body. And yet, how often does a bottle of calcium supplements mention magnesium or vitamin K2 on the label? Almost never. So now we have 2 widely used supplements, vitamin E and calcium, both linked to increased risk when it comes to prostate health, and they're far from the only ones. Let's shift to another one that sounds healthy on the surface. Zinc. Zinc is essential, especially for immune function and male hormone production. But more isn't always better. And in fact, when men supplement with high doses of zinc long-term, things can go wrong fast. Here's what happens. High levels of supplemental zinc can throw off your body's delicate balance with copper. And when copper gets too low, not only do your immune defenses drop, but your prostate may become inflamed. Studies have shown that while zinc deficiency can be a problem, chronic high-dose zinc supplementation is linked to a greater risk of aggressive prostate issues. Why? Because excess zinc can lead to oxidative stress. Yes, the very thing it's supposed to protect you from, and damage the very tissues it was supposed to support. Now ask yourself this: how many men's health supplements have you seen that proudly list 50 or even 100 milligrams of zinc per serving? Way more than you think. And how many of them also include copper to balance it out? Almost none. It's another case of a good thing gone bad. A trace mineral taken out of context becomes a silent threat to your prostate. Let's keep going, because there's one more supplement that almost every man knows, and many take daily, especially if they're worried about joint health: glucosamine. It's often paired with chondroitin, and the promise is simple: keep your joints flexible, reduce pain, support mobility. But what few people realize is that these supplements can sometimes trigger an immune response in the body. And when your immune system is on high alert all the time, inflammation follows. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is the last thing your prostate needs. It's the foundation for swelling, sluggish flow, discomfort, and even more serious complications over time. Now, not everyone responds to glucosamine this way, but for men with underlying inflammation, autoimmune tendencies, or sensitivity to shellfish, one of the main sources of glucosamine, it can act like fuel on a smoldering fire. And when you add that to a diet already high in processed foods, seed oils, and low in antioxidants, you have a perfect storm. A body that's inflamed, a prostate that's under siege, and a supplement that quietly contributed to the problem, all while promising relief. Now I want to ask you something personal. Have you noticed subtle changes over the past year or two? Maybe you're waking up more often during the night. Maybe intimacy doesn't feel quite the same. Maybe your energy isn't where it used to be, or your workouts don't recover like they once did. Maybe you're brushing it off, saying that's just getting older. But what if it's not? What if it's something you're taking every day that's accelerating that process? And you don't even know it? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. We've built a culture around supplementing without asking questions. We read a headline, we see a flashy bottle, we hear that so-and-so is taking it, and we follow suit. But when it comes to your prostate, your hormones, and your longevity, guessing isn't good enough. You deserve to know exactly what's helping and what's hurting. You deserve real science, not marketing hype. Feeling pain, discomfort, insecurity about your body, fear of getting worse. None of this should be part of your routine. But unfortunately, this is how many people live, until they discover that there is a better way. A way that treats the cause of the problem and not just the symptoms. And the best part? Without side effects, without complications. This solution is waiting for you in the pinned comment. If you're tired of living with this problem, this could be the change your life needs. Let's pick up right where we left off, because what comes next might surprise you even more. The last 4 supplements on this list are found in cabinets all across America, from fitness fanatics to aging men trying to stay sharp, strong, and active. But once we pull back the curtain, you'll see how even the best intentions can lead to unexpected consequences, especially when it comes to your prostate. Let's talk about one that's often praised for brain health, memory, and mood support: fish oil. Sounds harmless, even essential, right? Omega-3s are good for your heart. They reduce inflammation, and they've been studied extensively. But not all fish oil is created equal. In fact, many of the cheap, mass-produced fish oil supplements on store shelves are already oxidized by the time they reach your home. That means the fats inside are damaged, rancid even, before you take your first dose. And once these oxidized oils are in your system, instead of reducing inflammation, they can actually create more of it. That means more cellular stress, more immune response, and for sensitive tissues like the prostate, more irritation. And here's something most men don't realize. The prostate is highly sensitive to changes in oxidative balance. The more damaged fats floating through your system, the more risk of inflammation in this already delicate area. Some studies have even raised concerns that excessive omega-3 intake, particularly from supplements rather than whole food sources, may correlate with higher risks of prostate cancer in certain populations. Is the verdict final? No. But when you balance the potential risk of oxidized oil against the benefit you could be getting from food-based omega-3s, like wild-caught salmon, sardines, flaxseed, or walnuts, the choice becomes clear. Now, let's shift to something that feels completely unrelated: iron. Most people think of iron as a woman's issue, tied to menstruation or fatigue, but you'd be shocked how many men over 40 are still taking multivitamins that contain iron. Here's the issue. Unlike women, men don't regularly lose iron through menstruation. That means iron builds up over time, and excess iron is a problem, especially for men. When iron accumulates, it doesn't just sit there quietly. It oxidizes. It creates rust, essentially, inside your body. That means more oxidative stress, more inflammation, and greater strain on sensitive organs like the liver and the prostate. In fact, elevated iron levels have been linked to an increased risk of chronic diseases, including heart disease and, yes, prostate disorders. And here's a little-known fact. One of the most common genetic conditions in the Western world is hemochromatosis, an iron overload disorder. Most men who have it don't even know, and taking iron supplements only makes things worse. So unless you've been diagnosed with a clinical deficiency, there's almost never a reason for men to take supplemental iron. Yet it's still there, in many standard men's health multivitamins. Check your bottle. You might be shocked. 2 more to go, and the next one is going to sting a little, because it's one of the most common supplements in fitness circles: whey protein isolate. This one is tricky, because if you're trying to build muscle, support recovery, or simply get more protein into your diet, whey seems like the obvious go-to. It's fast, it's convenient, and it's cheap. But here's where things get messy. Not all whey is equal. The more isolated and processed the whey protein, the more likely it is to cause spikes in insulin, disrupt gut health, and create inflammation, especially if it's not grass-fed or free of hormones. And if you're someone already dealing with some level of insulin resistance, which many men over 40 are, whether they know it or not, then slamming down a whey shake post-workout can do more harm than good. Why? Because high insulin levels are directly linked to prostate growth. That means if you're chasing muscle gains with the wrong type of whey, you might also be growing something else: an inflamed, enlarged prostate. And there's more. Many whey powders are contaminated with heavy metals, artificial sweeteners, or flavoring agents that irritate the gut, trigger immune responses, and quietly contribute to systemic inflammation, which again loops us back to that prostate under pressure. Last but not least, let's talk about one supplement that's risen to massive popularity in recent years, especially among men chasing longevity and hormonal balance: DHEA, dehydroepiandrosterone. It's a mouthful, but the promise is simple: support your natural hormone levels, maintain muscle mass, protect your mood. Sounds good, right? And it can be in very specific cases. But here's the problem. DHEA is a hormone. It's not an herb. It's not a vitamin. It's a hormone. And anytime you start supplementing hormones, especially without blood work, you run the risk of throwing your entire endocrine system off balance. DHEA converts into both testosterone and estrogen in the body, but it doesn't always go where you want it to. In some men, especially those with poor metabolic health, more DHEA can actually lead to higher estrogen levels than testosterone. That means gynecomastia, mood swings, and yes, prostate stimulation. Estrogen plays a complex role in prostate tissue regulation. In small amounts, it's necessary. In excess, it becomes a problem. And when your hormones are off, your prostate notices long before you do. What's worse is that DHEA is often marketed with vague promises like supports vitality or balances hormones, but without any warning that you could be growing the wrong things in the wrong places. So now we've come full circle. We've uncovered 8 supplements, 8 common ingredients found in thousands of medicine cabinets across the country that men take every day, believing they're helping their health, when in reality, they could be silently hurting it. Let's review them quickly, not as a list, but as a reminder. Synthetic vitamin E, pretending to be an antioxidant. Calcium out of balance. leading to stiffness and buildup. High-dose zinc, causing copper imbalance and cellular stress. Glucosamine, igniting inflammation in vulnerable tissues. Fish oil gone rancid before you even open the bottle. Iron, quietly rusting your body from the inside. Whey protein isolates disguised as muscle fuel, but spiking insulin behind the scenes. And finally, DHEA, a hormone that plays roulette with your endocrine system and your prostate's future. And yet, every single one of these can be found in a bottle that claims to support men's health. That's the real danger. Not the ingredients themselves, but the illusion that they're always safe, always helpful, always good for you. So what should you do instead? First, take a breath. No need to panic or throw away everything in your cabinet. But now that you know, you get to choose differently. Start by reading labels with a skeptical eye. If you see synthetic forms of vitamins, overly high dosages, or things you don't recognize, hit pause. Think about what you actually need. Talk to a doctor who understands men's health, someone who will look at your labs, not just your age. Focus on food first. Real food, sleep, movement, sunlight. And if you do take supplements, make sure they're targeted, well-sourced, and backed by need, not marketing. And now I want you to ask yourself something simple. How much better could you feel in 30 days just by removing the hidden threats and making space for your body to heal? What if your sleep got better, your energy came back, you stopped waking up multiple times a night to pee? What if intimacy felt easier, your workouts left you more pumped, not more drained, and you just felt like you again? That's what this is really about. Not fear, not restriction, but freedom. The freedom to feel good again, because you finally got rid of the things that were holding you back without you even knowing it. And if you found this helpful, if this opened your eyes to something no one else is talking about, then don't stop here. Watch the next video on screen, where we break down the foods you eat every day that either heal or harm your prostate. And you might be shocked at what you find in your fridge right now. Click it now. You won't want to miss what's next.